woods. This is going to be episode 2 on big woods hunting secrets. This episode will be about food and cover. I'm under an oak tree. Again, a big tree right here. Trying to check out, see if it's going to have any oaks this year. Acorns, I should say. We'll see. But this episode will be about food and cover. I go over general foods, a lot of browse stuff. I did some research and I have a lot of photos with names that'll help you hopefully identify some things. Definitely not all. I think Maine said there was like over 1,000 different kinds of browse for the deer, so they have plenty of food right now. Just in the fall, once all that starts to dwindle away, is what you really got to start keying in on. And also go over food plots and some fruit trees. And a bunch of different kinds of cover, and cover is associated with edge a lot, but we'll get right into that for you, and we'll hopefully enjoy this. Hopefully it's helpful for some people. Right now seems to be tons of cover because all the leaves are out and stuff, but same with food, they're both seasonal. In the fall there's a lot less food and there's a lot less cover, so it's kind of, again, like I said in the first episode, general scouting, the best time to scout is during the season. That way you know where things are at that point in time. But right now it is not that season. It's early August right now, so we'll do a little investigating and try and find some spots, and I'll try and get some stuff on video for you. And I've been doing a lot of research on forages, different browses, and things you put in food plots. So hope you enjoy this one, and we'll show you what I got. This is out creeping along here. There's all kinds of different kinds of vegetation all over the edges of the road. Deer like to browse on. That's the key thing with deer. They're browsers, not grazers. They don't just sit there and eat everything. They're very selective, picky, right down to even a particular plant. They'll pick particular leaves off of a specific plant and not eat the whole thing. Some raspberries starting in there. There's always plenty of food right now for the deer, but in the fall that certainly will change. Now they coming out. More berries and stuff right there. The deer like really close to the ground. So much variety out here. See all the different forbs and forages on the ground there. Just in this little area. The truck is right there. There's all kinds of different kinds of clovers. Grasses and lichen and all kinds of stuff in here. This is all wild, natural grown. See how thick and dense this area is. Every once in a while you find something like this here. It's big. It's like a red oak tree. I've been living in this same place with my brother for I think 3 years now, 3 seasons, deer seasons. And I've seen evidence of some acorns on the ground. That's how I first noticed it. There's actually this one right down there. But I have yet to see this thing right full of acorns. So I'm thinking that the season for it to be could be this year because of all this rain we've had. She looks good and healthy, all kinds of nice dark green leaves. So this is a good little thing to find out in the woods. You find an oak tree that's putting acorns all over the ground. It might be a great place to hide. This is the only one around this area that I've seen. There's another one way down the woods here further, but they're few and far between. So if you can find one like that, it'd be a great place to put an ambush site. She's been here a while. This tree right here is a beech tree. Still early for the beech nuts yet, but when you got beech nuts on the ground, they like to come and eat those too. A lot of animals do, bears as well. It's a good beech tree. It's a good example of what a beech tree looks like at the base. It's a very hard, very dense tree. Anybody burns firewood for the wintertime knows all about beech trees. They burn for a long time. They're heavy and hard, but once you get them going, they burn for long and they burn real hot. But they're also a great source, food source for beech nuts once they're dropping beech nuts. A lot of cedar in here too, so that's another thing you gotta start thinking about in Maine anyway. Closer to the end of the season, the deer will start heading towards cedar growth for their wintering yard. So if you know where there's a good cedar growth and it's getting, or if you, especially if you've got early snow, might be a good place to sit as well. One thing you gotta learn about apple trees is a good year for one apple tree may not be a good year for another. These are some apple trees here that just don't seem to be getting anything growing on them. So if you've got apple trees and you expect them to have apples every year, they don't. Tell you right now, if they do, they have really good years and really bad years. So you got to keep an eye on the trees, see what it's going to produce or not. Because if it doesn't produce, you better go to plan B, C, D, all the way to Z, whatever you got to do. Some apple trees just don't produce every year. Depends on the nutrients in the ground, where they are. They're getting shaded out. It's all kind of things that make a big difference. Now here I'm probably less than 100 yards away from those other apple trees. Are right through in that direction towards the road. But here, there's a couple other apple trees. They got a little bit more room. And they are doing well. They got plenty of apples growing on them. They're doing really well up there. These apple trees are doing well. Again, it all depends on the tree, the health, the soil, and not every tree has apples every year, or at least a good crop of apples every year. And if you got them out in the open like this, they get more sunlight and stuff. They do a lot better than the other ones we just looked at that were, getting shaded out by other trees. These ones are doing really well. So again, keep an eye on your trees. If you know where some apple trees are, check them out and try and prune around them like these ones are. They get a little bit more sunlight coming to them, so they get to brighten out, open up better. That'll help you with your apples or pears or whatever other fruit trees you have that will produce in Maine anyway. Now the food plots. This is my brother's food plot. Mostly cow peas. You can see a lot of the peas right there growing. I believe he's got clover in here too. That one's doing well. It's a whole different kind of hunting when you're hunting by a food plot than you are when you're hunting in the big woods. But this is a food plot in the big woods, so it helps them grow the racks and helps them feed their young. And over here, if you can see, all kinds of stuff for them to hide in, and down in there. So they can be bedding in here without hardly anybody bothering them at all. Then come out into here into the food plots to eat. Now, smaller food plots, depending on your deer density, it's probably better to have what's called a polyculture. That means planting more than one thing. So if you have a monoculture, I can talk through experience. I've had small plots, probably a third of an acre or so, and you've got to try and time them right so they're growing during deer season. And when you plant them, the deer love those small shoots and stuff, and so they eat them right to the ground. If it doesn't have really good replenishing capabilities, they'll eat it long before deer season ever shows up. Now, if you got an acre or so of land and it's not a really high deer density, you may be able to get away with that, no problem, with monoculture, single thing. But supposedly polyculture is better for the soil, and if you polyculture in there, certain things will grow at certain rates and certain speeds, so you can feed them through a longer length of time, which is also good to keep drawing them in. This one is doing well. I'll go over there to the left. Here's another small one we'll check out just a second. Well, it's just over in that right hand corner of that plot there. Here is this one. This one's doing really well, shooting right up. You can see we got a bunch of old dead wood all over the place that deer can lay in, hide. Be good security cover for them. Then they'll come out here to eat. This one's going right into that one. And over here we got the ground blind. Eventually he wants to move it down that way, I believe, and then turn this into some more food plot. But that might be probably next year. And you can see this food plot has looks like it's got a blend of stuff growing in it. You can see that. Mostly he's got cow peas in here, but I do believe he has winter rye, and he's got some clover in here too, I think. This is still, I think it's August 10th today. So, plenty of time for it to grow some more, feed more animals. Those are the food plots. Come in very handy. Just so you don't have a lot of time, or you want to feed more than one deer and establish a good herd. This is a great thing to do. I mean, in Maine, you're only allowed to take one unless you get a second doe permit, which not everybody can, but some people can. I lucked out last year, the first time I was able to get one. So I was able to get 2 deer, but most of the time you only get one. This area is more grown up than I thought it would be. But this is a great thing I want to show you about cover. All these leaves will be gone shortly, but as you can see, like right there, there are big trees laying on the ground all through here. And that's one thing that the deer do like to lay in, is they'll lay behind or tuck underneath these big logs in the bushes there. Logs they like to hide in and among, especially a lot of deadfall down like this. There's one form of cover you can look for. Another cool thing about scouting, sometimes you come across all the abandoned old homesteads out in the middle of nowhere. Stories this place could tell, I'm sure. Pretty cool. This is another great form of cover right here. Old tree on the ground. Deer could easily be hiding underneath that. See right in here. Well, that's all in there. But also, deer aren't using it, so could you, to sit inside of that somewhere or underneath it to try and ambush a deer as well. So there's a main trail coming right through here, going that way. And that's all this covers right here. You can sit by that stump or underneath this stuff. All kinds of possibilities, but this is one form of cover that the deer will use. Goes down quite a ways. Okay, here's another good reason trying to find cover. Here's fairly open. You can see through here a little bit. See, they come through here, and this is the edge. This is an edge. An edge usually defines where there's more cover, where a deer can just jump in here. This is the clear cut that's been growing for about two, maybe 3 years now. And it is full of vegetation. Everything's 4 or 5 feet high, some 6 and 8 feet high now. Trail going right in through there. Right in there. Out through here. That's the way I came. Back and through this way. So an edge can be cover and a cover can be edge. It's one of the good reasons about hunting in the swamp areas, because all the cover. Look how high this stuff is. This is probably one of the best seasons I've ever seen this. You can see all this dead growth. So a lot of that stuff is on the ground. So the deer like to just lay right inside of that stuff. And nothing's ever gonna come in through here and find them. If they do, they'll be able to hear them walking through all this stuff quite a ways. So they'll sit up right in this thick stuff, like right over here, right close to that big wall of trees. So if they hear something coming, they can just jump right up and escape right into that real quick. See right on the ground here, raspberries, and it's right all through the ground, all through this area. All kinds of different things growing for food. So they don't have to go very far right now. This is August 10th. You can see some sporadic spots. Straight in front of me there's some cattails. Over here, more cattails. Wherever the cattails are, usually there's like a lot of water. Back here, there's more cattails. So they got their water here, they have their cover here, they have all kinds of food here. There's no real reason for them to go very far. But once fall arrives, all this vegetation will start to die, and you got to start keying in on what's left. really good to have food plots. And have food plots planted and planned out for the food to be growing as close to deer season, if not during deer season, as you can. Good stump right there. Now, right in this corner here is where I have my natural ground blind is right up on a little high ridge there, just off the four-wheeler trail, watching down in here to see what's walking in towards the swamp. Haven't had much luck there either, but everything's about timing. See a trail right in here. Just walked right up and through there, gone that way. Another trail in here. There's another trail right there. It's definitely being used. An old stump. Sometimes it's a great place to sit and hide, lean against an old stump or behind it, watching something. Let's get a trail here. You see it's pretty thick in here right now, but once this leaves are gone, you can see through here quite a ways. But on this side over here, just in their side about 100 yards, it turns right to a lot of softwoods. So it creates an edge where this hardwood, which is mostly birch and popple and stuff, birch, popple, some maple up there. Once all these leaves come down, you can almost see a distinct wall going this length, probably about 50 or 60 yards in there, which is softwoods, and that creates another edge, which is another security place for them. So it's kind of good to find a place to watch that edge, because they'll pop in and out of that. Use that edge as security. They don't want to be too far away from it. That way, if they think they're in danger, they can just jump right back into it. Well, here is the backside of a swamp, the exposed swamp. See some cattails straight in front of me, about 50 yards in there. If you look right on the edge here, you see right on the edge, they like to bed right in this area. So they got some shade, they got the cover of jumping into the woods if they need to. They got all this thick growth right here. You see all through this, they've been in there. Let's see if I can stand up for a second. Just looking down inside there. They've gone all through here. They bed all through here. And all through up in there. All kinds of food through here. You can just sit there and eat their rumen, regurgitate what they've eaten, and just sit there and eat all day long. Right here, they've been nibbling on this. These pieces right there. Tips are growing on it. More over here. Right there. Nibbling on that. You can see the pieces of it. Branches broken off and the leaves chewed off. I believe that's the same plant with these flowers on it. It's just one of thousands of things they can eat around here. Another thing, you know, is food and cover are both seasonal. Right now, this is August, so there's plenty of leaves all over the place, leaves on the trees, on the bushes, everything, so a deer can jump into cover in a matter of seconds. Obviously in the fall, there's a lot less leaves, so they got a lot more range. They got to manage, you know, to stay out of trouble. So they stick close to cover, follow the edges a lot. And also the food is seasonal. You know, right now there's tons of stuff out, but again, a deer is a browser, not a grazer. So they are really selective. Certain plants mature at different rates at different times of the year, so they know what they want when they want them. So you got to kind of key in on the fall foods, and that may take a little while because it depends on where you're hunting. Different sections of the country, different sections of the state of Maine actually have different types of soil, which will grow different types of plants. So you got to really pay attention to where you're hunting. Try and key in on where those foods are at that time. It's such a smorgasbord of food that you just gotta. That's part of your homework for finding your spot. Pay attention to what they eat, where they eat, and when they're eating it. It's like a big puzzle you got to put together. And every year it could be a little bit different. You know, if it's a drought, there's going to be less things growing. If it's really a wet season, other things will grow. Deer like mushrooms. They like ferns. They like berries. They like, all kinds of different browse, even woody browse they have to have during the wintertime, or closer to winter time when they're getting ready to yard up, head towards the cedar. They'll probably be heading towards that. It's just a big puzzle that you got to put together every year. Pay attention. So it's kind of fun. It takes you a while to learn everything, especially in your certain area. We've been hunting areas for 20 years in KI and still looking for spots that are, every year is different. That's the problem. Every year is another puzzle to solve. So it's all part of hunting.